What is cognitive development? Cognitive development is a field of study that focuses on a child's development and how they learn to process thoughts, to remember, to problem solve, and develop decision-making skills. Chapter 5 in our SMART book is entitled Cognitive Theories of Development and describes 3 prominent developmental psychologists' theories about how we think the way we do. Jean Piaget was a Swiss clinical psychologist known for his pioneering work in child development. He was originally educated as a zoologist, but was quickly fascinated with psychoanalysis, and after working at a school for boys in Paris, became interested in cognitive development. He assisted in administering intelligence tests, and it is during this time that he noticed that young children consistently gave wrong answers to certain questions. This led him to the theory that young children's cognitive processes are inherently different from those of adults. Piaget suggested that throughout their development, children move from egocentrism to sociocentrism. Through his observations, Piaget theorized that humans go through specific stages of cognitive development and intellectual progression. He questioned how knowledge grows in one's mind and proposed that as we grow and make sense of our experiences, we create schemas. He also stressed that individuals are constantly working towards equilibrium in motor, sensory, and cognitive functions. The way individuals adapt to new experiences can be seen through adaptation. Adaptation is a 2-step process comprised of assimilation and accommodation. When we assimilate, we interpret new experiences in terms of existing ideas. However, with more interactions and experiences, our minds expand and adjust or accommodate new experiences. We modify existing schemas to form entirely new ones. Piaget also recognized that individuals' knowledge grows in much more complex ways than just assimilation and accommodation, and developed a series of stages that are related to age. The stages are progressive because one must be accomplished before the next can occur. For each stage of development, the child forms a new view of reality for that age period. There are 4 stages of cognitive development that demonstrate how we are in different stages in our lives. We learn in different ways. Stage 1, sensory motor stage, is from birth to age 2. The child experiences the world through movement and their 5 senses. During the sensory motor stage, children are extremely egocentric, meaning they cannot perceive the world from others' viewpoints. The sensory motor stage is divided into substages, which include simple reflexes, first habits, primary, secondary, and tertiary reactions, as well as object permanence, which is understanding that objects continue to exist even when we can't see them. Pre-operational stage, or the second stage, starts when the child begins to learn to speak at age 2 and lasts up until the age of 7. During the pre-operational stage of cognitive development, Piaget noted that children do not yet understand concrete logic and cannot mentally manipulate information. It is characterized by egocentrism and appears to be all about them. Stage 3, or concrete operational stage, is from 6 or 7 years of age to about 11 or 12. In this stage, kids start to think logically about concrete events that they have actually experienced and focus on physical realities and arrange objects into hierarchical class systems. They are also learning social skills by attending school with other children and adults that expand their social world and allows them to consider someone else's feelings. They also develop decentration and are able to see beyond just one aspect of a problem or object. They develop a principle of conservation, which is the awareness that altering an object does not change its basic properties. Stage 4, or formal operational stage, starts at age 12 and carries us through the rest of our lives. During this stage, our reasoning has expanded a great deal to include more abstract thinking, problem-solving skills, as well as questioning things in a hypothetical sense. At this stage, individuals are capable of understanding and evaluating the way in which they perceive, remember, and learn. Piaget's theory and research influenced several people, especially those who felt that his research and theory lacked in some ways, because according to Piaget, no major development takes place after adolescence. Also, because he underestimated the effects the environment could have on the development. Take, for instance, Lev Vygotsky, a Russian development psychologist who shared the same views as Piaget in that children construct their own knowledge and understanding over time. But he focused, however, on the child within his or her own culture. He focused on how early development occurs through parental instruction and interaction with the social environment. He proposed a theory of the development of higher psychological functions that saw human psychological development as emerging through interpersonal connections and actions with the social environment. He believed less in formal stages and more in the child-adult interactions as a way to higher levels of thinking and learning. He also put emphasis on language as a way of assigning meaning to things and suggested that the way children develop might vary across different cultures. His theory is based on 6 assumptions: that adults convey to children the way their culture interprets and responds to the world through interactions and meanings that they place on objects, events, and experiences. Thought and language become increasingly independent in the first few years of life as a means of communication and socializing, and later becomes a tool of thinking. Complex mental processes begin as social activities. As children develop, they gradually internalize processes they use in social contexts and begin to use them independently. This allows children to make these ideas and process uniquely their own. Children can perform more challenging tasks when assisted by more advanced and competent individuals. Vygotsky identified 2 levels of development: actual development, which is the upper limit of a task a child can perform individually, and level of potential development, which is the upper limit of tasks a child can perform with the assistance of a more competent individual. Challenging tasks promote maximum cognitive growth, or the zone of proximal development. CPD is a range of tasks that a child can perform with the help and direction of others, but cannot yet perform independently. Like Piaget, Vygotsky believed that play was essential for children to stretch themselves cognitively and to take on roles that they would not normally be able to take on in real life. Criticism of Vygotsky's theories have been that the child becomes a product of the environment, such as with teaching toys, television, and technology, which can be argued either way. Yuri Bronfenbrenner was a Russian-born American developmental psychologist who was most known for his ecological systems theory of child development. He is also noted for being placed on a federal panel and developed the Head Start programs. Bronfenbrenner believed the process of human development is shaped by the interaction between an individual and their environment. The path of development is a result of the influences of a person's surroundings, such as their parents, friends, school, work, or culture. He believed that a person's development was affected by everything in their environment, and divided that environment into 5 different levels. The first level, the microsystem, is the system closest to the person and the one in which they have direct contact with. For example, their home, school, and or daycare environment. Parents, peers, teachers, and caregiver relationships are bidirectional in this environment, meaning your action towards the people in the system affect how they treat you. This system is the most influential level of the systems. The mesosystem is the interactions between different parts of a person's microsystem. This system is the interrelationship between 2 or more systems that are interconnected and influence a child's development, such as how parents interact with teachers and work together for the benefit of the child. The exosystem is a setting that does not involve the person as an active participant, but it still affects them. This would include decisions that have bearing on the child, but in which they have no participation in the decision-making process. For example, a deployment might be something that negatively affects a child, but they have no control over it. The macrosystem is the culture environment in which a person lives, and all other systems that affect them. For example, the economy, cultural values, or a political system. It can have either a positive effect on the child or a negative effect, and could be the reason why some children from different economic backgrounds might develop differently over time. The chronosystem is a dimension of time in relation to a person's development. Time can be relevant in different ways. For example, the timing of the event during a person's development or events that are unique to a person's generation. Active interaction with the environment is essential for development, regardless of what theory you agree with. For individuals with disabilities, this proves to be rather difficult. Whether there is a cognitive disability or a sensory disorder, learning will be impaired for these children, and parents can expect their child's limitations will cause them to learn and develop more slowly than a typical child.